Alright, so in this video I'll be showing you how to make this aesthetic kind of stylized water shader in Blender. So let's get started. I'll start with a new blend file. So for demonstration purpose I'll just use a landscape, so Shift A, Mesh Landscape, and I will choose the Lakes 2 preset. I think this should be fine, and I'll scale it up. This add-on comes default with Blender, so if you want to use the exact same thing, follow along, you can enable it in your preferences. And I'll just give this a new material. I'll give it a texture so it's more easily visible. I'll use okay, let's go with Mossy Rock, and now to the shading tab. Alright, so what most people do is that they'll add a transmission shader and reduce the roughness, increase the specular value, and they'll call it a day. So this does look like water. I mean, it does give you reflections and stuff, but you can notice this harsh boundary between the mesh and the water plane, so it almost looks like if it's clipping through something, and it doesn't look very good, especially if you're very close to the source of water or very close to the landscape. So it's not looking very good, as you can see. So we'll fix that now. I'll just get rid of this plane and I'll add in a cube. Edit mode GZ-1. So now the origin is sitting on top of the cube, so whenever we scale it, I'm sorry, not edit mode, whenever we scale it in object mode, it will expand downwards. So I'll scale it by 5 and just move it so that we don't get this artifact. Okay, right about there. And now we'll use the same texture that we used for the plane. Now it's looking like a solid block of wood. And by the way, you don't have to make this a cube. You can make this a cuboid, like whatever shape you want. For now, I'll just leave it like this. And let's make changes to the shader now. I'll use the volume scatter node and plug the volume into the volume, and it does nothing. Maybe it has to do something with my light path, so let me check. Yeah, I'll just change my light path. Yeah, it should work better now. And reduce the alpha value for the plane. And now you can see the boundary, it's starting to gradually fade away as I reduce the alpha value. It becomes less and less noticeable, and you can't make out where the plane is touching the landscape. So now it's looking much better. Now what we need is that color, so I'll just change that color to some blue. Somewhere between this green and this blue is the sweet spot, so pick whatever you like and just copy that color onto the shader as well. Increase the density maybe, change the anisotropy. So again, there are a lot of things here you can play with. There's the specular value, there's the roughness, and then you also have the transmission roughness as well. So the anisotropy is the main thing. If you set it to all the way down to 0, or maybe not 0 exactly, below 0, so the water appears to be glowing. It's not exactly glowing and it won't emit any lights of its own, but in close-up shots, like, it feels like it's glowing. So depends on what you want to go for, like what is your artistic need. You can change this. So there's a lot of things you can do with this anisotropy value. Right now I'll set it to like maybe 0.5. Okay, no, let's go with minus 0.5 because that's closer to what I showed in the thumbnail. And then what we need is a noise texture. And I'll process this through a color ramp. Give it some more detail and increase the black values. Okay, so far looking good, and we'll use this as our normal value. Yeah, right. So we are almost there now. You can even play with more with the alpha value, maybe give it some more density depending on what you need. So I think this is the density that I use for my original artwork, and you can use this value, and it all depends on like from what angle you are rendering the water. So if you're far away, maybe you might want to render it like this, or maybe like this. It all depends on your scene and what you're trying to make. So I think that's it. Like, it's a fairly simple shader, that's it, nothing too complex. And maybe you can even modulate the alpha value using a layer weight node, so that depending on what angle you're looking at the water, so that way it will become more transparent or more opaque, like it happens in real life as well. So that's it. And for the HDRI, it is currently being lit by an HDRI, the sunset.exr, and this one comes with default with Blender. I'll leave the file path in the video description, so you can copy paste it in your own Blend file. And I think that's it. Hope you learned something new from this video. If you like the video, you can leave a like or maybe subscribe to my channel. And yeah, thank you for watching.